Bet responds, because I'm going through some kidney issues. So, gender is a combination of psychological and sociological behaviors and internalized roles. And, I've seen a lot of people in the comments of those videos not passing the vibe check and saying that it's not. But, that doesn't come from me. Much like any area of scientific study, there are scientists who are doing active work in this field that define it for us. So, the World Health Organization. Right here, it ends up saying that gender refers to the characteristics of women, men, girls, and boys that are socially constructed. This includes norms, behaviors, and roles, blah, 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 blah. Encyclopedia Britannica is actually pretty funny because it has one for gender identity, which, again, talks about social roles and self-identity. And its entry for gender only talks about it in language, like gendered nouns in Spanish or something like that. You have the Oxford Dictionary's definition, which again, male and female cultural differences as opposed to biological ones. It makes it clear that it's not biological. So all of the experts are saying gender isn't a biological thing. It is a way you feel and a way that you behave. Meaning that if you do not feel male or do not feel female, then you are non-binary. A lot of people in the last video were like, oh, feelings don't matter, but that's the thing. This is the science of measuring feelings. The feelings are what are being measured. People have tried to say that it's genetics or something else, but that's not what the definition is. I just showed you. And again, I would like to note that biological sex is also not binary. That is a measure of what your chromosomes are on your last pairing, which is usually what determines what sort of genitalia you have. Or more specifically, what sort of gamete you produce, but again, you could be unable to produce either gamete, even if you were just a standard chromosomal pairing. Those standard pairings, by the way, are XX and XY. But again, you could possibly not end up producing either gamete, even if you just had an XX or XY chromosome. But those aren't the only pairings. There are lots of variations, and over 1% of the population is intersex. From XXY, XYY, even down here you have singular X. Plus, there are people who have XX chromosomes and have different ways that their genetics are expressed. It's called XX male syndrome, and even though XX is usually what we end up associating with female, they look, for all intents and purposes, like what we would consider male. They even have male equipment, they're just infertile. So yeah, what you would consider biological sex, also not binary. But again, that's another area of science. Psychology and sociology, which is where gender comes from, is the science of feeling and culture and roles and behaviors. So if we see that feeling or behavior, then we say it exists.